Well, what's true amongst the blonde community and villains is that we tend to have more fun. But to be completely honest, I didn't necessarily choose evil for the sake of being evil. I seek one day to revolutionize the world. And frankly, you can't do that by playing by the rules. You can't please everyone. And the human race is so like children in the sense that what's good for them is generally the last thing that they want. It's a lot like feeding a kid their vegetables. They hate you for it while you're doing it, but it is only later that they thank you for having a hard hand at that point or for being firm with them. So through my process of embettering humanity, people inevitably, I figured, would label me as a villain. So I choose that form. Greatest heist. Well, I was trying this really, really complicated plan a little ways back, which involved, I think it was along the lines of 4 forms of miscommunication or misdirection on the part of the police. So I had a few minions dressed up as a barbershop quartet a few blocks away from the bank that I was planning on robbing. I had number 16 in a gorilla suit. He was over on Queen West, causing a ruckus, as it were, in a tortilla shop, while the rest of us were sort of planning on getting in and grabbing the money. It ended up not working out quite as well as I thought it would. I was also wearing a beard, which was not necessary, but fun. Yeah, I would have to say my greatest heist was the one that was born from that, in that someone suggested why not just go with a more, simple method. So I started manufacturing a small army of robot ducks, and we took to the streets, and I actually managed to knock off a Salvation Army and got a bunch of free pants. Right now, I'm working on a very specific invention, which some people are currently aware of. I call it the pain ray. What it does very specifically is it resonates the synovial joint fluid within people specifically. As some people who are familiar with mechanical resonance will know, is that every form of matter, every substance, has what they call a resonant frequency, which is when it's bombarded with a very specific frequency of sound, even ultrasound or infrasound, the molecules in that substance will start to vibrate, and in some cases even heat up with electromagnetic resonance. So what this device ostensibly is designed to do is resonate the synovial joint fluid, which causes a severe amount of pain in the subject. Side effects also include nausea and dizziness, but the person's effectively incapacitated. So it doesn't matter how big or how beefy you are, how strong you think you might be. The device that I'm creating, which is roughly the size of a small gun, drops that person to the ground. It's 100% effective, and it's also entirely non-lethal. So it helps me get through or past people without making casualties. So currently that's what I'm working on, yeah. Spare time? Oh, I'm not sure. Well, the thing is, spare time, if you're meaning not, plotting the downfall of the city or not building things in my lab, when I'm not being a villain, when I'm not plotting, planning, scheming, building, it's hard to say. I remember what spare time used to be like, but you don't get a lot of it these days. Occasionally I find myself, relaxing. I enjoy pickled eggs, so I will occasionally sit back and savor one of those. Take a minute to clear the head, usually. Yeah, just watch the clouds go by. Oh, what do you call those places? Greenhouses. I enjoy frequenting greenhouses. My motivation to become an evil genius would be people. it came to my attention a couple of years ago through what you can inevitably call cause and effect, just a few things happening. Brought to my attention that nice guys finish last. No matter how kind you intend to be, no matter how much you turn the other cheek or do the right thing, the world will inevitably squash you. It will take advantage of you. It will destroy you. And it was around that time that I kind of realized that I hate people. I hate them. So I decided that I was going to correct this. I was going to work towards making the world a better place. I was going to forcefully shove humanity in the right direction and stop them from doing this mass suicide that they seem to be on course with. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. As much as I hate people and as much as we are flawed as a human race, I like to picture humanity as one person, and I, without a question of a doubt, love that person. But it's a tough love, and I am determined to get them correct and to get them well again. The round glasses actually have a special story for me. It was just as I was moving out of the small town of Fergus. I grew up in a research facility out there, which comes as no surprise to some people. But as I was moving out, I had a few minutes as I packed my small amounts of luggage before I moved into the city. I had just like maybe 20, 30 minutes to sort of just walk around Guelph. Small town, despite what they say. And they had sort of like a knick-knack shop, tourist attraction thing, just little bits and bobs and things hung on shelves like rocks and plants and whatnot from small rural areas. And on one of the racks that was there was a pair of these glasses right here. These glasses specifically, exactly $5. So I threw down a $5 bill and I grabbed them. And I thought that this would be sort of a precursor to newer things, to better things. And it would allow me to become a new person. These are specifically blind man's glasses, which means that they don't tint the sunlight, they just block light. It's actually relatively difficult to see through them, at least before I modified them. And sort of acts as a metaphor that as long as I choose to ignore the current mess that exists around me and keep focused on what I'm doing, then everything should be okay. Oh, God, yes. As many people may know, I'm just getting started. What I hope to do in time is to enlighten people in what I'm trying to do. Bring my message, as it were, to anybody and everybody, that humanity can be better, that we can, as a race, be stronger, smarter, faster. We can do better things. We can be kinder to one another, but only if we are put on the correct path. And that requires very specific management by myself. Now, people that are interested may certainly join in. Once we get enough people going, once we get enough capital generated, we're going to be moving to larger facilities and starting up a community presence. Having people on the streets in minion uniforms, basically pulling people aside and talking to them about Evil Incorporated, and discussing what we plan to do and the things that are in store long term. Long term, I'm hoping to get a lot of people sort of under the microscope, as it were. One of the bigger things that I've been mentioning in the past is what we call competency examinations, where people are brought in, they're tested on things like physical aptitude, mathematics, science skills, English language, as well as philosophy and logic reasoning. Very specific on the logic reasoning, like, you know, if an old lady is crossing the street and ABC values are in effect, what do you do? And just judging people by how they manage to pass these exams, judged by how much they're allowed to partake in regular society. Because frankly, there are people out there that are physically fit, but they're stupid. There's people out there that are perfectly intelligent, but they're incompetent morons, and they can't bother to dress themselves in the morning. These people need to be made aware of the parts that they're lacking, and either they pick up the slack or they're moved aside. And they make way for everybody else. And there's no discrimination here. There's no discrimination to race, sex, sexual orientation, or anything of that sort, religion even. It's more or less, can you be a contributing member to society, yes or no? And these exams will figure that out. Happens to be the same thing. Biggest achievement for me was the construction of a mechanical exoskeleton that I had designed called the Mechanolith. The suit was sort of, it wasn't a necessary project, but it was more or less to get people in the know of what I was doing. It's something flashy, something big to say, hey, look, I'm a villain. Pay attention or I'm going to squash you kind of situation. And it worked great for a period of time. I mean, the reactor coolant system was working fine. I was pounding up the kinks as I was going, sort of fixing problems as they came. The Gatling gun only failed once, I think. And everything was going great. Greatest failure thus far is when I tried to bring the suit against another villain named Professor Skull. That didn't turn out as well as I had initially planned. He got a hold of Dr. Israel Forge's weather machine, recalibrated it, and ended up loosening the molecular structure of the suit, sent a bunch of test subjects after me, and it got ugly. So sadly, I lost the suit. And it's kind of like, every now and then, no matter what position you're in, like, I'm not exempt from the universe or life or God or whatever you want to call it, just knocking you down a peg. And that'll happen no matter who you are or what position you're in. And I'm certainly not exempt as a human being from being just, swept aside. And it's sort of that subtle prodding that, once I'm knocked down to that level, or once I'm taken down a peg, it's like, okay, you made this suit. It was nice. It was flashy. Okay, sweep that off the board. What are you going to do now? So I'm taking the negative, I'm turning it into a positive. It's the lowest point so far that I've had in my career, but I'm excited to keep fighting. Pickled eggs. It's been a sort of a thing for me, and I don't know why. Maybe because I grew up sort of having them as a treat, but it's like the more sour they are, the more they make you cry, the more you enjoy them. It's like tears of joy. Minions receive benefits such as I don't shoot you right now. Things like that. If you're looking for things like dental and healthcare and other things of that sort, I'm sorry, but that's not immediately on the docket. Those are things that you have to take care of yourself. Once Evil Incorporated picks up, things like that may be instilled, but the position of Minion is a high mortality position, which makes it exciting, but it also makes it not that great for providing expensive benefits for it. Now, for Minions in specific, yeah, your benefits are looking at things like you are on my team. You're on the team of the person who is on the winning side, as it were. So being on the winning team, always a good thing. If I could go back and do something different. I mean, first thing that comes to mind is I'd probably kick over Dr. Israel Forge's weather machine a little faster. A point of pride there is I just let him shoot me with it because I didn't think it would do anything, and at first I didn't think it did. If I could go back and change something. If I could change something, I'd probably try to save my sidekick.